one shot, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment.
All right, welcome to This Week in the MFL. We don't have anyone on tonight. I am starting it a couple hours early. Normally we go about 10 o'clock Central. I figured we'd do it a little early tonight so I can knock it out of the way. Go ahead and maybe get ready for my game that's going to be a little later tonight. But at the same time, it's also in the middle of Sunday Night Football, so I'm sure everybody's busy. I know we got a couple of games that are going on tonight, so I'm going to hop right in here. W. Dunn, we're going to take a quick look in on his game. He's actually going to be our guest today, but of course I'm playing we are doing the show in the middle of him playing, so he's not going to be able to join us, but we will do a live look in as you can catch a few minutes of his game, and then we'll check it out after the show, or maybe halfway. We'll take another little sneak peek of where his game is at. I know that the Green Bay Packers have been playing a lot better lately, but I still like the Vikings. I think this is going to be a good close game as these two teams try to figure it out. That NFC Central is a tough division. Nobody seems to want to win that one. So, again, welcome to the show. And this is going to be for week 12, which seemed to drag along. I don't know. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it did. I don't know. It just seemed to kind of drag along. But the playoffs are going to be right around the corner, and it's going to be a fun year as we kind of come to a peak here. We're going to kick it off with the Bucks and the Giants. This game was actually supposed to be played, and then Pepper was going out of town. There was some confusion about what was what, and then all of a sudden it was going to be a sim, and then Callie wanted to play this. So I actually watched a few minutes of this game. This was a computer game. The Bucks played the computer, and the computer jumped out on him. He made a nice little run, but then interceptions kind of got in the way. As you see, the New York Giants picked him off 4 different times. They kind of picked on Mike Glennon all day long. The only good play was coming from an 82-yard bomb to Heron that was actually absolutely beautiful. The problem was that Doug Martin just doesn't run the ball enough, whereas they couldn't stop Christine Michael. This guy just kind of ran all over them, which opened Brock Osweiler to hit a play here or there. He only had 5 completions. It wasn't that impressive, but 3 of those 5 were for touchdowns. So this was a tough loss for the Bucks. They gotta, they still are in the playoff hunt. Definitely, they are actually in the playoffs if it were to start today. But they need to step up and get a couple of big wins. That was a big loss for them, but it was against the computer. Computer's tough to beat, so be interesting to see what happens this week as they are actually taking on Houston, and that will be a fun game to watch. The next game is the 5-6 Seahawks taking on the 6-6 Browns and losing. I can't figure these teams out because I lost to both of these teams, and the Seahawks have now dropped 2 straight after beating up on me, and they lose 16-23. This game goes back to turnovers, 2 turnovers for the Browns. They didn't allow a lot of rushing yards, which drives me insane because I seem to give up 200 to him whenever I faced Lynch. Lynch did get 100 yards, but he had to carry the ball 22 times. Wilson was kind of picked on. He made some bad throws here. Johnny Manziel played a solid game. Ben Tate, not a lot of yards, but he did carry the ball 21 times, so it kind of ate some clock. The game, though, went to defense. This game was about the defense getting off some key interceptions and kind of turning those into some sort of points and eating up the clock. And the clock just kind of ran out on the Seahawks as they dropped to 5-6. And if they don't win here this week or next week, their playoff hopes might be over. But if they can kind of get a win and get some help, they're going to be right in the mix. The next game is the Vikings at 4-7, dropping to the Cardinals at 6-5. I'm not going to talk a lot about my game. I have highlight videos if you want to check them out. I was able to, matter of fact, here's the link right here. But I was able to pick on Teddy a little bit today, force him into some really bad throws. Cordell Patterson had one of the most amazing plays I've ever seen. The play right as we went to halftime, as he caught the ball over 2 defenders who were standing right there for the interception. it was just amazing. You need to check it out. Michael Smith had a solid game, 104 yards. Logan Thomas stepped in for the hurt Foster. I've lost 2 quarterbacks in the last 3 weeks, but Logan stepped in and played solid. 10 of 16 for 177. He didn't turn the ball over, and that is what is key. Patrick Peterson and Cromartie doing what they do and getting me some interceptions. And it was a good win for me, a win that I needed after losing 3 or 4 straight. And so I'm going to take it. Next, you got the Titans dropping to the Saints. The Saints jumping back up there and getting a good win. The Titans are a strong team. I know they're only 5-6, but they have had some really tough games this year. And the Saints have kind of dropped a couple of snoozers lately. And they actually lose the turnover battle here. They turned the ball over 4 different times. But they played just enough good defense to win the game. Sam Bradford did have a pick. He only tossed 147 yards. They didn't allow a whole lot of rushing yards. Darren Sproles didn't run the ball all that well. And this is a crazy-looking game. I would assume, just looking at the stats here, that we've had a bunch of maybe pick sixes or even some special teams touchdowns because the stats just aren't adding up. It's what sucks when you don't get to see highlights and you're not able to watch all of these games. You don't really know exactly what happened. You just have to kind of extrapolate the story. But Breeze turns the ball over 4 times. They do allow, some semblance of a running game. They allowed, 63 yards over there. I guess the key would be here is that the Ingram stepped up and got some yards for Sproles when he didn't rush the ball very well, and they turned those turnovers into clock-eating rushing yards, picking up some first downs. Either way, the Saints stay atop the NFC. They get a good win. The Raiders, I didn't see this one coming. After, whipping up on a couple of guys after losing to the Broncos a couple of weeks, they show up and lay an egg against the Chiefs 20-10. Jeremy was handled pretty well by the Broncos the other day and clearly was pissed off by it because he just steps up right here and gets a big win. 3 takeaways for the Chiefs. They only allowed 19 yards rushing. That is a feat because Darren McFadden is a man. Derek Carr and Freeman both get kind of bounced around. Neither one of them play very well. Tyler Bray has not played well at all this year. They are winning despite Tyler Bray's quarterbacking abilities. Jamal Charles going back to the old school Jamal Charles that we've seen last year and earlier this year. 32 carries, 111 yards. Didn't get a touchdown, but he did carry the ball a bunch. They spread the ball around on offense, and Marcus Cooper stepping up and getting 2 big interceptions of the Raiders quarterback. That's a huge win for the 9-3 Chiefs. I still think that the Raiders are a better team, but that's a good win for a team who's trying to stay in the hunt. It's funny, you're 9-3 and you're still just trying to stay in the hunt. I mean, they're going to get in there. It just depends on where that seed falls and who is going to face the Raiders. That's going to be the key. The Eagles dropping to the Cowboys. I don't know. My heart, I said this in the last podcast, my heart wanted to pick the Cowboys. I mean, I believe that they are building a team, but I didn't do it. And the Eagles actually lay an egg here. 4 takeaways for the Cowboys. They don't allow a billion stats on offense. They get 3 sacks. They kind of beat up on Nick Foles, 4 interceptions. McCoy had a solid game, though. I mean, that's a really good game. Murray did not have a good game, but Dalton Sam, the X factor of quarterbacks this year, 312 yards. Did have 2 picks, but he makes up for that with 2 touchdowns. Terrence Williams, 11 receptions for 145. That's some crazy numbers there. Sean Lee, 11 tackles and an interception for your defensive player of the game. And the Cowboys shock the Eagles. The Eagles are going to have to wake up here pretty soon because this year is beginning to slip through their grasp. I thank the Cowboys because I needed that to happen, and it happened. The 6-5 49ers drop a huge game to the Bengals. Another game that I think I actually said I was going to pick the Bengals as my upset special, and I shied away from it at the last minute. I believe in the Bengals. 5 takeaways for that Bengals team. 8, count them, 8 defensive sacks and only 27% on 3rd down. Roy Palmer played very well, 2 touchdowns, 196 yards. Colin Kaepernick struggling, 4 interceptions, and the two-headed monster of Williams and Rodgers did absolutely nothing for only 45 total yards on the day. And a long of 8 and a long of 7 is just not going to cut it. They did pass the ball a whole bunch, though, 31 different times, but you're less than 50% in 4 interceptions. That's not going to put up any points at all. And it just looks like the Bengals had their way at home. I like the Bengals team. They will make noise next year. Put it in your books. That's going to happen. The Rams dropping a 3-point game to the red-hot Packers. Speaking of the Packers, why don't we go ahead and take another live look in. And looks like we just caught an interception right there for the Packers. It's pretty good timing right there. But the Packers step up and get an interception. They're deep in their own territory, or Minnesota's territory, with only 22 seconds left to go in this game. Looks like they're going to take oh no, they're deep in their territory. I'm sorry, I thought it was flipped around. They're deep in their territory, 22 seconds left. That's not good for the Vikings. They needed that 3 points to go in the half, to only down 1, maybe even get a touchdown there. Looks like Green Bay is going to go into halftime with the lead unless something absolutely crazy happens here. Matter of fact, why don't we just go ahead and hang in here? We'll watch these last 15 seconds or so, see if anybody has joined the show. Yeah, we got Bobby in here. We got Win in here. We're going to take watch these last 15 seconds, kind of see if the Packers do anything. They took a timeout, so clearly they're wanting to push the ball, maybe make something happen. This sometimes is when you see bad things happen. You see teams kind of try to push it. Instead of just taking the kneel, you got 4-point lead, just go into halftime with it. Instead, he's going to try to push it here. He's got no timeouts left, so I don't really know what his plan is unless he breaks a big run. And he's going to go play action. Campbell's going to put in some pressure there. Oh, so close for Dunn Sr. Almost got the pick there. That would have been a huge pick. You get the interception there, maybe get a couple of yards. You know, you're left with 8 seconds or so. Maybe toss something in the middle, use that timeout, and get a field goal out of it. That's a big play for the Vikings not to get. And here we go. We're just going to run the clock out. That should be it before halftime. And the Packers are going to go into the half leading 14-10. That's going to be a fun game to see how that one all wraps up. But talking about those Packers, they won again last week. We watched them push the Raiders all the way to the very edge. But they beat the Rams 33-30 at home. 3 takeaways for that Packers defense, 3 sacks. They allow a ton of yards, but they also get a ton of yards. 244 yards passing for Aaron Rodgers. Ryan Mallett passes the ball 54 times. So this goes to tell me that this was probably a simulated game. Clearly was a simulated game. So I don't like talking about simulated games. You can kind of check out the stats, which all get blown up and stretched out. That kind of sucks, but you know what? I'll take it because I need the Rams to lose. Not like I have a shot at the division anyway since he swept me, but a loss is a loss and kind of keeps him close to us. Then you got the 8-4 Bills losing to the 3-8 Steelers 21-14. Can anyone figure out the Bills for me? I know the Steelers have been winning lately. I think they even make they show it right here. We're going to look at this game next week. They actually won against the Ravens side, so clearly the Steelers have figured some things out. But the Bills, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what's going on here. They only allowed 93 yards passing and 46 yards rushing, but they turned the ball over 5 times. You can't turn the ball over 5 times when you are on the road. Big Ben with a touchdown and an interception, 93 yards. He was 8 for 30, my friends. He was 8 for 30. That is not going to be a solid QBR. That's not going to be good at all. It's probably going to equal my grade point average back in school. That's about it. C.J. Spiller with nothing to brag about, but neither did Dre Archer. This game kind of looks pretty boring, but somehow, some way, 1 too many interceptions from Phillip Rivers, which he's done that all year long. And the Steelers upset the Bills on the road to get a nice win. Their season's pretty much over, but you know what? They're building for next year, and that's a good win. Then you got the Bears winning 24-17 8-17 against the Lions. I don't know what has happened to the Lions. They pretty much just kind of let this season get away from them after a really good year last year, but they turned the ball over way too much. I'm pretty sure when we're going to take a look here, Matthew Stafford threw it all around the field. 8 of 17 for 107 yards, 4 interceptions, not going to cut it. Reggie Bush does what Reggie Bush should be doing, 22 carries, 111 yards, but Matthews just got to make better decisions. Jay Cutler, 9 of 13. Doesn't pass the ball all that much, but Adrian Peterson gets him 20 carries. We are getting ready for you, Adrian. We're going to face you probably tonight or tomorrow. It depends on when the game gets in. But it looks like McHenry Kane, 3 tackles, 2 sacks, and an interception. That's some nice stats, but Nick Fairley over here with 5 tackles and 2 sacks himself. Another game that doesn't mean a whole lot for this year. I mean, the Bears, I guess, technically may still be in it in that crazy NFC Central over there. But I like the Packers. They're kind of red hot right now. And these are just 2 teams going nowhere, beating up on one another. Then the Texans with a nice win, a 7-point victory on the road against the Colts. I think I watched a little bit of this game too. It was pretty close until late. The Texans just kept hammering the rush, getting some interceptions. 3 picks, 3 sacks. They only allow 42 yards rushing. Andrew Luck just made some bad decisions, and they just didn't rush the ball enough. 16 carries for 39 yards is not going to be good enough. Trent Richardson getting his, he just wakes up and rolls out of bed and has 20 carries before he even shows up on the field. I mean, this guy's going to get probably more carries than yards. He might have 1,000 carries before the end of the season. He's just getting way too many carries. Tom Savage, a solid day, doesn't turn the ball over. 12 of 22, nothing to... It's not going to get you in the Pro Bowl, but just don't turn the ball over. Hand the ball to Trent Richardson 55 times a game, and you're probably going to play some really good defense and get some wins here. Brian Cushing, 7 tackles, a sack, and an interception to help the Texans get a good win on the road against a very solid Colts team who fall under 500 for the first time in a long time. And the Broncos at 10-2. It is the win. The guy who is here on the show with me today, my family, my cousin, this is his year. This is it. We're finally seeing him put it all together. This could be the year where Win shocks us all. Can he beat his kryptonite? Can he beat the Raiders? That's going to be the big question as this season progresses. Can he beat himself? That's going to be key. When he gets those tough games, when things just don't go your way and Madden has turned against you, can you push through and can you make a push in the playoffs and win those tough playoff games? They're red hot right now. They could be your number 1 team in the OMFL right now. They get a big 20-14 win against the Chargers. I know the Chargers haven't won a ton of games this year, but that is a solid team. And Peyton Manning struggling against his old team, only 12 of 22 for 174 with an interception. Johnny, Mr. New Football Fisher, gets 2 touchdowns, but he does throw 3 picks. This kid is solid. He is running away with the OMFL Rookie of the Year award. He is my pick. I know that Win is in love with this middle linebacker over here, but I'm sorry, he has faded away these last few weeks, whereas Johnny Fisher has stepped up to the plate. Adrian Foster, 26 carries for 100 yards. I don't know what it is about these Texan running backs that they show up and just kind of get 35 carries a game just out of the blue. And Demaryius Thomas, 8 receptions for 124. That guy's been red hot lately. Defenses cannot figure him out. Here's the guy. Here he is right here. We got to talk about him because Wynn absolutely has a man crush on this kid. He's faded, though. I know he had a good game this week, but 2 tackles for a middle linebacker isn't going to cut it. I'll give him the sack and the interception. That's solid, but I don't know. He's not going to be your Rookie of the Year. I'm giving that to Fisher. Either way, when you have 2 young rookies that are making plays like these guys on both sides of the ball, the Broncos are set up for the future. When you go from Peyton Manning to Johnny Fisher, it's not a bad fall off. And your OMFL Broncos have moved to 10-2. And We'll talk about the power rankings as we get there. Let's take another quick live look in at this Green Bay. And the Vikings have taken the lead 17-14. It goes back to how important that play would have been right before half. They just barely miss out on an interception right there. But if they don't turn the ball over, man, you've got possibly a 6, maybe 7, 8, 10 something point lead there, but just don't turn the ball over. That's going to be a good game. We'll like to see how that one finishes off. Then you got the Patriots at 8-4 beating up on the Ravens. The Ravens have dropped a couple of games here lately. They look to be stepping up to the plate like they were going to make a run there. Have kind of taken a couple of steps backwards in the other direction there. Just not playing good football. They're losing a tough game at home against a really good Patriots team. They do turn Tom Brady over twice, but they just don't stop the run. Shane Vereen gets right at 100 yards. Ridley pops in another 26 yards. Andre Ellington finally does not have a good game, 21 carries for 67 yards. That's the kind of stuff he was doing in Arizona before I shipped him out and he started rushing for 300 yards. It was Julian Edelman's game, though. He gets 7 receptions for 136. He's pulling up some Demaryius Thomas numbers there and having some really solid games. Harmon with an interception, a big interception of Flacco, and the Ravens drop a game that they really needed, a game that they needed to stay in that hunt. They're probably still in there because that's kind of like the NFC Central. It's a tough division. There's not really anyone stepping up. Again, we're going to go back to, we're not going to talk about the Redskins game. Still praying for our friend Clavin. Our heart goes out to him. It will remain going out to him. He is our buddy, and I cannot wait for him to come back and take his team back over. But until then, I like that they got a win there with the computer. Then you got the 8-3 Jets who quietly began winning games again. They dropped a couple of here and there, but you know what? They've stepped back up to the plate and they've been winning some games. They dropped the Jaguars at home 21-13. 2 takeaways for the Jets. They just don't allow. They play really good defense. I mean, so did the Jaguars, but not today. I mean, the Jaguars gave up over 100 yards rushing, 229 yards passing, and the Jets played that really solid defense that they play. 15 carries for Turbine for 23 yards. That's terrible. I could do that in a wheelchair. And Blake Bortles, can't throw that many interceptions. Geno Smith, a solid game, 17 for 28. That's a good day. 237 and a touchdown. The law firm over there gets 22 carries for a little 100 yards, or right at 100 yards, I'm sorry. And this was just a good win. The Jaguars make you play ugly. Anytime you can go into Jacksonville and sneak away with a win, you need to take it. And even though it's against a 2-10 team, the Jaguars and the Bengals are much better than their record. And the Jaguars are going to get this offensive thing figured out. Either way, even if they don't, they play really great defense. That's going to be a team to watch for. Then you got the Panthers stepping up to the plate and taking care of business against the Falcons. I don't know what happened to the Falcons. This team was playing good football early in the year, and then have cashed it in. They've just done. We're gonna just see what kind of draft pick we get. That's a solid team over there with an owner who knows how to play. It'll be interesting to see what they do this next offseason. They get a couple of turnovers. They turn Cam Newton over twice here, but you just don't stop Dennis Johnson as he gets 19 carries for 111 and 2 touchdowns with a long of 34. You're not rushing the ball and you're not stopping the run. Then even though you're getting those turnovers and you're not doing anything on the offense to turn those into points, so you're just not going to get many wins that way. Panthers get a solid win. They're probably mathematically still in it, but things are looking pretty rough for them. And there it is. That's a look at your week 12 in the OMFL. Before we go and look at a couple of stats and maybe even call this a game. I didn't know that Win was going to be around, but Win, we'd love to have you on the show next week. Even if you're ready this week, I don't mind you jumping on the show and doing some projections for week 13. There's not that many games left, but just a quick live look in. A big third down here. It's 3rd and 8 for the Vikings. Oh, and he gets picked off. You got to watch those short zones. Guys love to play zone. They're going to play a ton of zone. and you got to know it's going to come. You got to know it's going to be there, and you got to have a zone beater in your route at all times. That's a close game. It's going to be fun to see how that one ends. Take a quick look, see if anybody else is in here. Oh, well, yeah. I probably should have shared my desktop. There we go. There was nobody in here. That's why I didn't share my desktop. And there you go. So, Win was asking for a shared desktop, and I didn't do that. So, Win is cooking and will not be able to share his projections, but I will jump in there and do my projections. Before we do that, just a quick look at your AFC playoff race. There's some really good teams. I mean, the Broncos are 10-2. They've lost 2 games this year. One of those 2 was to the number 1 team in the AFC, and they're your 5th seed. God, it's tough. The AFC is tough. It was the NFC up to last year. Dunn shift the power. Jeremy shift the power. Both, Dunn took a team that he was interested in, and Jeremy just ran, and now the power has shifted over there to the AFC, which is good for guys like me. The only thing not good is I'm still stuck with D-Money and with Gaddy, and that's just tough, and the Seahawks and Junior, and so it's just tough all the way around over here. But there's a look at your playoff race. Teams like me and the Bucks wouldn't even be sniffing the playoffs in the AFC. And there's something about these Centrals in both of these. Neither one of the Centrals want to win their divisions. But just a quick look at your power rankings. I'm going to do it, folks. I'm putting the Broncos at number 1. I'm moving them up. I like them at number 1. They are red hot. The Raiders have still kept winning, so you got to give them that. But I like Broncos 1, Raiders 2, Giants are going to be 3, Texans 4. The only reason I'm putting Giants 3 is just, because I got to have an NFC team up there, all right? I can't give them all to the NFC. So give me Broncos, give me Raiders, give me Giants. Then I like the Texans. Then I like the Chiefs up there. I mean, I like the Chiefs way up there. And then I like the Jets up there. And then we're going to wrap it up with Saints, Rams. I don't like the Bills in the top 10 at all. Patriots have gotten some big wins lately. I don't know. The top 10 is definitely AFC heavy. And it's definitely going to be all about the AFC this year. And it will be interesting to see how all of that plays out. So, let's take a quick look before we go do some projections. Let's look at some rookie stats. We haven't done this in quite some time. Johnny Fisher, again, running away with the Rookie of the Year. Roy Palmer is a solid quarterback, but his team's just not winning, and Johnny's is. Just looking at a couple of these other stats that are out here, Kendricks from Chicago, this kid is just playing lights out. And so are those linebackers over there in Jacksonville. Those are some good players. No one really doing much in the rushing department. I mean, Sutton, I think, can be a decent player in the future. He's not a 1,300-yard rusher, I don't think. He's a hard guy to take down. I just don't see it happening. Over here, looking at some sacks, nobody's blowing you away. I mean, these just are not that impressive of sack numbers from these rookies. Interceptions is a different story. I mean, you've got Snow and Scott with 6 each, Ryan with 5, and then you got a couple of guys with 4. Receiving yards, you've got some really good players here. Ramsey from Washington, Dial from Pittsburgh. I love Farrell, of course. I drafted him, and he hasn't played this week, whereas I think Pittsburgh has. So you've got some interesting rookies, but to me it's all about the quarterbacks, and there's only one quarterback on the list that you should even be worried about. I do like some of these defensive players, but they're not giving you the numbers that you would expect to see in the sack department. Excuse me. So we're going to look at Week 13. I already got some games coming in here. A weird game there, 11 points to 21. Another blowout for the Saints. The Raiders take care of the Jaguars. Broncos take care of the Bengals, who came off a huge victory last week. The Chiefs, red hot right now. Big victory there. Bills take out. I can't figure the Bills out, and I definitely stopped trying to figure out the Eagles. they drop a big game here. I'm not going to call it. I was going to take the Vikings over the. I think technically I can still take them. I mean, the Packers are still winning right now. There's 9 minutes left in that game. I'm not going to. But I think technically I could get away with that. But I do like the Vikings to maybe pull this one out. I'm going to give you. It's not that many games left, but I'm going to give you my lock of the week. And for my lock of the week, what do I want to take here? Who do I want to take here? What should I take here? Lock of the week. The game of the week. The week that everyone in America is going to be tuning in, turning to watch. The 2-9 Dallas Cowboys against the 0-11 Miami Dolphins. Give me the Cowboys as my lock of the week. I think that the Dolphins quite easily could never win a game this year. I think they may go over this year and have that number 1 draft pick. So give me the Cowboys as my lock of the week. And now I need my upset special. There's not that many games to pick from here. And I don't know if any of these technically could be considered an upset special. But I'm going to go ahead. And I'm going to listen to my heart this time. Even though I hope it's wrong. Because I need it to be wrong. But I got to go for my heart. I'm taking the 7-4 Buccaneers to go on the road and to upset the 9-2 Texans. That's right. You heard it here first. Buccaneers over the Texans. I hope it's wrong. I hope right now. I hope that I'm standing here when I do the podcast later this week. And I hope I'm telling you that the Texans manhandled them because I need it. I need it to happen for my playoff chances. But I just have a feeling. And last week I didn't go with my head. I didn't go with my heart. I went with my head and it came back to bite me. Jeremy, can we do something about these Manning photos? I've been sick of looking at this all year. Let's get some updated stuff. We need something funny. I mean, you're good at this. Let's get something better than the Manning brothers up here. T.Y. Hilton with a huge game last week, 7 receptions, 194, and a touchdown for your OMFL Offensive Player of the Week. And Manti Te'o and his fake imaginary girlfriend with 12 tackles, a sack, and an interception for the Chargers, who lost at home. And then your game of the week this week, which should be a great one. The 9-2 New York Football Giants stay home, technically, I guess. I don't know what you really consider that. Either way, they're playing the Jets, and their Jets are 8-3. That's going to be an interesting game to watch and see who comes out on top. The AFC is really good, and Pepper is playing exceptional. Even though he got a computer win this week, he is playing exceptional football right now. And just another quick live. This is a game. I wish we could take the next probably 20 minutes of this podcast or whatever and just finish watching this game. We're not going to do that. But this is a good game here. Let me tell you something about the Vikings before we just call this a day. Let me see if anybody else is in here. It's just me and Win. Oh, Stang has showed up. Stang, where have you been? You've been working way too much. You need to just can the job. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm glad you're working a whole lot, but you've been working too much. We miss you around here. Who's the Chiefs blue bean? Yeah, that would be hilarious. So it's good to have him around. These two are having a very interesting conversation that I will not repeat. Let me tell you something about the Vikings before we call this a day. We'll see if either one of them want to hop on and say a little something before we call it a day either. So Stang or Win, if you want to say something, just type it in the chat. The Vikings like to blitz, fellas. These Vikings blitzed me 90% of the time I was in like 3 receiver. He blitzed me over 75% the whole game. Like as a whole, he blitzed 75% of the time. This team loves to blitz and get after it and come at you and rock your quarterback. This is a fun game. This will be fun to watch how this comes because the Packers are playing really good. But I do like the Vikings even though they don't have a whole lot of wins here. So there it is. That is this week in the OMFL. For week, whatever it is, week 12, week 13, I don't know. Vikings do get off the bus blitzing. I think they blitz their water boy. I don't know what's going on. Stang, you got to start winning, all right? The league is a better place when you're winning championships here and talking Stang and doing your thing. We miss you around here. I miss you around here. You might need Dunlap. I kind of I know it's unpopular, but I miss Dunlap being around too. I know that's a different show, I guess. But either way, this league's better whenever you're winning. So either way, win. Do you have something to say? Do you want to hop on? You want to talk? You want to say something to the people? Maybe make some predictions of the games that are left. Staying, you want to hop on? You always have something to say, I'm sure. It's quiet. What's okay mean? I don't know what okay means. All right. So, all right, Win, you can unmute yourself. Stang has left the building. Win, you are now promoted. There you go. So, Win, talk to the people. Tell us. Here are your OMFL number one power rankings from this week in the OMFL Radio Show. Your number one. What do you got to say about your team, your season, how things are going?
Right now, I just have to say that this team that I inherited is phenomenal. And to those 29 people that passed up on Johnny Fisher, because I picked him up the 30th pick of the first round, y'all are kicking each other.
I'm kicking myself because I wanted the number one quarterback. And I got to be honest, so the 2 minutes is not a lot of time when it finally gets to your pick and you realize that you've got 2 minutes. And so I'm like running through stats and I panicked, all right? And I took Welsh. Like, I'm not super unhappy with Welsh, but he's no Johnny Fisher, okay? So I am one of those teams kicking myself and praying that maybe Johnny goes to free agency in a couple of years.
Oh, he's not making free agency. Don't worry about that. I'm going to watch him play.
So tell me, how have you done it so far? What is it about this team that's helped you you've always been a good player. I know you didn't believe in yourself, but you've always been a great defensive player and an above average offensive player. But what has helped you put it all together?
The Denver Broncos, in case you didn't hear, are kind of talented.
So that's it. We're just going with out of the box talent. I think it's a little bit deeper than that. You've got a lot of young talent on this team.
Well, I did have a really good draft this offseason. I picked up a bunch of rookies, including Brian Chapman, who I like to talk about all the time. But I also picked up a kid, Colt Mitchell, who I've been starting. I started this week's game against Cincinnati, which opened and he had a pretty solid game for me. He's quick. He's got a lot of agility, so I'm looking forward to putting him out there maybe eventually next season. But basically I drafted some depth except for Johnny Fisher, and I've been pretty happy with the draft. So.
Yeah, just to give a quick update to anyone who's watching the podcast, you'll see it on your screen. The Packers are leading 21-0. They went for it on 4th and goal. They get hit in the backfield. It's 4th and 1. They get hit in the backfield. They turn the ball over on downs. It's now Vikings ball. They have all 3 timeouts left. 2 minutes left to play, and they're starting to drive. They just almost threw a pick just right there. And it looks like they've got a new quarterback in the game. Is that Case Keenum, maybe? I don't know if Bridgewater got hurt in this game or whatever, but the Vikings have a new quarterback, and they're looking to go and make a drive. So, Win, since I got you on the line, we have access to you, which we don't have a whole lot. Maybe we can have that a little bit more now. I'd love to have a Win segment. I know that you're working on some other stuff for us that we will reveal as we go along in these podcasts. But tell me, what do you think it's going to take? What is it going to take for your team to put it all together and make a deep run in the playoffs?
Have the Raiders team bus crash. Seriously. I have 10 wins, and I know you gave me number one making on the power ranking, which I appreciate. But even right now, every game you got to win in the AFC because I'm a 10-win team, and I can potentially not make the playoffs. So every week you got to bring your A+ game in because everybody is trying to get the playoffs 6 spot.
The AFC's tough. The AFC is by far the toughest division. The power has definitely shifted with both Dunn and Jeremy running for the hills over here. What do you think makes the AFC so tough? What makes them so good?
I think if I had to put my finger on it, it's the commitment to the run game. Because if you look at the majority of the top teams in the AFC, all of them, for the most part, have a very strong run game. the Chiefs have Jamal Charles, Raiders have Daniel Pat, even the Patriots have a two-headed monster with Shane Gilliam and Ethan River. I watched them the other day. They look really good. Of course, the Texans with Trent Richardson, who gets off the bus running. So, I mean, everybody in the AFC is doing a job. They run the ball well, and they commit to it, and that's a big thing. With these sliders, with this type of setup, I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, Trent runs in his sleep. And just to give you another update, the Vikings just had an incomplete pass from Chase Keenum on 4th down. They turned the ball back over to the Packers. 1:06 left to play in that game. 1-point lead for the Packers. The Vikings do have all 3 timeouts. They're using them right here on 1st down. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how this one wraps up. But this might be a tough loss for the Vikings. I don't know that they can make a comeback with Case Keenum. So we appreciate the impromptu interview that you let us have. Would you like to make any predictions on the games that are left this year? Or not this year, but this week?
I think Green Bay's going to win. I'll go ahead and predict that.
I don't know that I could give you that one.
Looking at the games now on the list, I think the Miami Dallas game. I think Stan will finally actually put one column. I know he's going to I think he'll put one column. I think another surprise. I think Carolina. I think Gaddy's in a tailspin right now. I think he's got his mindset on the off season right now. We've been talking about Kaepernick and kind of blowing up the 49ers offense. I think Carolina's hungry, but I don't think Gaddy's as hungry right now. So I think Carolina might get upset as well.
Yeah, I like those picks too. I hope that the Dolphins win. Of course, Stang's on, and I don't know. We'll have to see. The Vikings actually give up the field goal. They almost get a pick on 3rd down. Green Bay Packers have to settle for the field goal, but then the ensuing kickoff, Vikings fumble, ball game. 24-20. 45 seconds left unless something just absolutely nuts goes on here. But that game is pretty much wrapped up. It's said, it's done with. So there you go. So Win, thank you for being on. Mustang, I know that you hopped back on. You disappeared on me. Would you like to say a little something? Okay, he wants to unmute him. So let me bring in Stang here. I got to promote you. And hold on one second. We're going to take this one down. All right, Stang, we're going to bring you up. I can't unmute you. Stang, I don't know why. Oh, okay, I know exactly what to do. Give me 1 second. I know exactly what to do here. We're going to pause the sharing right here. This is what we're going to do. Excuse the technical difficulties. All right, here we go. Sorry, this program's got to talk to itself. So there you go. You can all now unmute yourselves. It's question and answer mode. So Stang and Win, you both should be able to unmute yourselves now and say what you got to say. So hop on, Stang. Win, if you want to give some final thoughts, and then we're going to call it a day. We're going to call it a night and say this one's over with. Oh, and he disappears. So I'm going to give him a minute to come back, see if he can get back in here. So there we go. I think
I agree with everything that this man has said.
Which man? Me or Win? Oh, I figured. So Win, you got to unmute yourself and let's see what he's got to disagree with you. So what is it that you disagree with?
Well, basically everything. That's the only place I can start. I appreciate him giving the props to say that I was going to beat the Cowboys. Which, by the way, who is the Cowboys owner?
Honestly, it's a new guy that's new this year. Maybe he's not. I don't know. He's a guy that's pretty quiet. I can't even remember his name off the top of my head. I'd have to look on AIM.
I'm going to pretend he's warm. Yeah, I called from a phone. I had to download the app. Have you guys been doing this recently?
Yeah, we do them every Sunday night, and then during the week, whenever I try to do them, I usually throw the app up so that anybody that's around can hop on. But Mustang, I got to be honest with you, I miss you. I know some of the other guys, Gaddy, he's just a hater. He does what he's got to do, and so, even though he's been pretty quiet lately, but I miss you being around. You got to be around just a little bit more.
I'm gonna try. I promise I will. I gotta find some more. Madden takes so much time to play. You can play the other game, pop on for 10 minutes, and you can do something. Madden takes a lot of commitment. So I gotta find it. I don't even know what those buttons are above the head. I'm gonna press it. Alright? I'm gonna stop hurtling on kickoff into special teams because I think it looks cool.
You gotta do something because a big old fat goose egg in front of your name, that's supposed to be at the other end, not in the front. It's supposed to be in the back, and you're supposed to have a ring on your finger, not the other way around.
I haven't seen the power rankings, but I assume we have Win at number 1 and myself at maybe number
30. Yeah, you're pretty close. Yeah, those are. I would say that that's a good guess.
That would be my power ranking. I don't know what to say about that. I'm happy, I'm proud, I'm sad, and I'm mad. But we will recover. We'll be back. I think there's a little bit of a lull right now, so we're gonna pick it up. All right, I'll promise you that.
All right, well, I'm counting on it. I need it, all right, because the show is going to be better whenever you're on, whenever you're around, whenever you're freaking, talking down to everybody and putting everybody back in their very rightful place. We've got some guys around here that just talk way too much smack, all right, and we need you to lower. Like, there's some new guy that's already talking. He's been around for 3 minutes, and he's already talking about how AIM sucks and it's useless, and how are we even a league with AIM being our main way of communication. And I'm like, if he was around, if Mustang was around, you wouldn't even be talking right now.
Well, he probably grew up in MSN or Yahoo Messenger guy, so I don't blame him. Those people are corrupt and probably contribute nothing to our society. User. For the early 2000s, I would like to promote this idea of AIM and being born and PSN messaging and he uses gay Skype.
So tell the listeners where you've been before you run out of here. Where has Mustang been hiding?
60 to 65 hours a week.
What are you, like, you're building rockets now? What are you doing?
I wish. That's the next step. And trust me. Tell me, well, don't trust me. But I'm doing a turbine repair service for jet engines, Pratt Whitney, all those types of things. But that's just a little step. I'm trying to move towards the airfield, start doing. I work for the FAA, but I'm trying to actually build the planes myself. Doing some aspect of that. But just a lot of shit in the production line. Trying to get on top and make this money for Christmas, and hopefully at the start of the next year, it'll relax a little bit. Especially with the airlines and travel and all that stuff, it'll calm down for a bit so I can find some semblance of peace time.
Well, good. As long as you're hanging in there, I'll even take a 0 and 0 for team from. No. But I will take an 0 for team with you still here than a winning team with you no longer here because you've had to leave or whatever. So as long as you stay, I'm good.
I need to play more. That's all I gotta say, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. And I appreciate the show, but I got to go.
All right. Peace out. Come check us out next time. All right.
Yeah. All right. See you guys.
So there you have it, guys. There is Mr. Mustang, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the king of the hill, the trash of all talkers. It is the Mustang. So, Dunn Sr., we're about to call it a show, but I see that you hopped on. I missed you. I know it's my fault. I did it early. I was trying to knock it out of the way, and I didn't realize that you had your game scheduled. So, if you want to hop on real quick, talk to us about your game. Tell us what happened. We can even do your take it or fake it segment because there's not but like 7 games left or whatever. So do you want to do something? You want to hop on here? You got to talk to us in chat, or you can unmute yourself because I got it to where everybody can unmute yourself. There you go. Just unmute yourself. There you go. So we got him here. The man who just had a tough game. That was a tough loss. That was not fun to watch. You had it there. You had a big interception right before half. And then you had that, I don't know what happened to Bridgewater. I don't know if he got hurt, if you pulled him or whatever, because I wasn't able to watch it. So talk about about the game, and we'll hop in. We'll do our fake it or take it segment real quick, and we'll call it a night.
All right, cool. Sounds good. How's it going, everybody? Yeah, basically, I just played the Packers. It was an awesome game. I had a lot of fun playing, but yeah, Bridgewater actually got hurt. He was on a scramble, and I was trying to get him in the end zone, and he got hit at the 1 yard line, and he got banged. It looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the season. Lucky me.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm in your boat there, Nate, but except I'm not in the playoff race anymore.
Yeah, that was a tough loss. That was it was a good game though. We got to do some live look-ins there, and it looked like a really great game. You had a big pick right before half that kind of gave away some points. I don't know what he was thinking about that 4th and 1 without taking the points, but it worked out for you. But you don't have your quarterback, and winning with Case Keenum is going to be tough.
Yeah, he was up, the final drive of the game, he was up 24-20. I had the ball left and no time. He was kicking off to me because he was up 24-20 with 1 minute to go. He had just kicked a field goal, and he kicked off to me, and my kick returner fumbled the ball, and he recovered, and that's how the game ended. Yep,
that's a tough loss. Well, let's hop right in here. We got Win on the show. We had Stang on the show. Now I got Dunn Senior on the show. This is by far the best podcast that we've had in a long time. We got to do this more often. Like, we got to get more of you guys in here. This is going to be a fun show. We're going to have some draft stuff coming up here pretty soon. We got some faker to take segments, and Mustang's going to come talk some trash. This, guys, this is what the OMFL is all about. This is why we do it. This is why we hang out with a bunch of dudes that we call our internet friends. My wife still laughs at me, but you know what? This is why we do it, because of guys like you. So let's hop right in here. Faker to take it. The Lions are going to pull up an upset on the Rams on the road and beat them in St. Louis.
I think I'm going to take the Rams in this one. I think, the Lions suffered a pretty bad loss last week. They had that huge win against the Broncos. Then they laid an egg in some sorts against the Bears. So I don't know where DBL's head is at this point. 1 week, he's given the ball Reggie Bush to 25 times, and the next week he gets it 12. Who knows? I'm going to go with the Rams just based on, where the teams are at this year.
I'm going to save the Giants and Jets. We're going to do that one last. So let's hop over the Panthers. Fake it or take it. The 49ers will win. They're going to get off the schneid here. They've lost a couple in a row. They're going to win. Fake it or take it. 49ers win at home against the Panthers.
I'm going to take that. I got faith in Gaddy this week. And forgive me, I didn't do all my homework for these games this week. I was working a little bit, so I don't have all the stats in front of me. So a lot of these are going to be just based off hunches. But I think Gaddy's going to get off the schneid this week. And I think they're going to take care of the Panthers.
Hey, I like it. The Cardinals, faker to take it. The Cardinals win 2 in a row. They finally get going right before they get Welsh back from injury. Faker to take it. Cardinals win on the road against the 4-7 Bears.
I'm going to refrain from this one since my brother, so I'm going to pass on it.
All right. I'll let you do that one. We're not going to do the Redskins game just because of our buddy. Win, did you say something?
I said I won't pass on that game. I will take the Cardinals beating the Bears.
There you go. You heard it from Win. He's 10-2, and he's top of my rankings, so I'm going to go ahead and go with him. Next, we've got the Buccaneers. Faker to take it. The Buccaneers will lose on the road to the Texans.
Absolutely incorrect. I think the Texans are one of the top 3 superior teams in this league. Callie's having a hell of a season, though. The Bucs are probably going to be in the playoffs, it looks like, if he keeps it up. But, it's like playing JV where in the NFC South. No disrespect to any of those teams to stepping up to playing the defending champions, Houston Texans. I'm going to go Houston there.
Win, give me your input since you're here.
You know what? The Texans run the ball very well. Callie Buck is a menace at the D-line. Whoever wins the trenches wins, and I think Callie can win.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking the Bucs. So fake it or take it. The Titans will upset the Colts at home. Actually, the Colts are at home, so the Titans are going on the road. So Titans will upset the Colts on the road.
I am faking that. I'm going to go with the Colts since they let me down when I picked them to score the upset against New England. So I think I'm going to go the Colts in this one. It should be a pretty hard-fought game. The Titans play damn good defense. And if they're able to keep Luck in check, I think they might be able to squeak out a close one. But I think Andrew Luck's going to be the difference in this game.
You know what? Give me the Titans.
That's it. You heard it right there. Just give me the Titans. Remember the Titans. It's done. All right, and then we got to talk to the man. I miss him. I'm glad he's been around. I'm glad he hopped on the show tonight. But the Dolphins, faker to take it. The Cowboys will keep the Dolphins at winless this season. The Cowboys will win at home against the Dolphins.
Fake it. Stang rises this week and gets off the schneid. He's not going to go winless. He's going to take care of business against the Cowboys. Stangs came close a couple of weeks here to pull out off an upset. He lost it in the end of the couple of games. I know the Cowboys have been looking a little better lately, but since we heard from Stang tonight, I think I'm going to pick the Dolphins. He needs the W.
I've already said my piece on this, but it's time for Mustang to rise from the ashes and show us what it's all about. This is where it starts.
Yeah, this was my lock of the week with the Cowboys. But you know what? After talking to Stang, after hearing a little love in his voice, I can't change it. I can't go back. But I heard a little fire there. I'd like to see him win. I won't be ashamed if I lose out on this one. So we're going to go back to this is it. This is the game of the week. This is going to be a great matchup. Pepper, if you listen to this, you got to have this one live. We got to watch this one. The 9-2 Giants. Like I said this a while ago, but stay on the road, whatever, they go home, whatever you want to call it, because they all share the same stadium. They face the 8-3 Jets. Faker to take it. The Jets will show that the AFC is the most powerful conference, and they will win this ball game.
Nate, I love the fire in your voice tonight, man. You're pumped up. I love this.
I am pumped up. How can you not get pumped up? We got guests on the show. We got some good football going on. The playoffs are almost here. And my Saints didn't lose today, so I'm not depressed.
Well, that makes one of us. But, this is going to be a hell of a game between the Jets and the Giants. How do you pick a winner? I think I'm going to go the Giants, and I just can't even give you a reason why. I guess I'm just going to stick with my NFC compadre and go with the Giants.
Give you a good reason why the Giants win. Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, Odell is playing some amazing football, and we were blessed to watch that guy play at LSU. That dude is a monster. I like Pepper. I like Pepper here. I think the Jets are, they're up and down a little bit. I mean, they're 8-3, so just a little bit, but I think that's going to be an interesting game. So there you have it. You have your fake it or take it for week 13. This is a great show. This one's going to go in the archives. This one's going to go down as one of the best shows we've ever had. This gets me pumped about the draft, because if we could do this on draft night, it's going to be amazing. Just shut it down, sew it up. The podcast game is going to be over because we got you guys on the show, and this is going to be a fun one to watch. So there you have it. You got your fake it or take it for week 13. We had Mustang come and do a call in. We had the man win with his #1 ranking in the OMFL Power Rankings on the show. Fellas, thank you. Thank you for a good night. Thank you for a good podcast. Thank you, fellas, for tuning in and watching this one. And we'll see you next week. We'll see how week 13 wraps up. It's going to be here before we know it. And now all I need to make this a great night is to go ahead and beat the Bears and call it a night. So, fellas, thank you for showing up. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for being on the show. We will see you again during the week. I will throw it up, and if anybody's around, you can hop on. If not, we will see you next Sunday, probably back at our regular scheduled time, unless I can get this time again. This time is a good time for me also. So we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Fellas, have a good week, and we'll see you. Peace.